Hello, dear friends, and thank you for this episode. We've put this together last minute, so I want to thank Joudi Alshammaa from Shama Dental Lab and for coming up to Mount Vernon helping me with a fully digital implant denture. So she has been wonderful. It's been a great morning, and I had a short conversation with her that I want to share with you. So the following is a conversation with Joudi Alshammaa. She works with her father with Shama Dental Lab. So we're just getting to know them, and we're really excited for what comes next. So enjoy the next few minutes with my conversation with Joudi. Okay, great. So welcome, and thank you for doing this, especially on short notice.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. So it's been just a thrill to get to know you and your dad. And so I want to do just a really quick intro here for you. The story of you and your dad is pretty unique. First of all, I want to say I've got Joudi here from Shama Dental Lab, and her dad, Obad, is a pretty big player for the all-on implant dentistry. So a unique bent towards, with a dental lab towards implants, towards implant-supported teeth. So this is really exciting for me. When I first met them through, different parts of different people in dentistry, I immediately got excited. So I was happy to know that you guys are close too. We've spent this morning, getting to know each other. Thank you so much for printing that.
Of course, that was fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So anyway, we're gonna have some fun here talking, and it's just going to be a short one. And I just wanted to talk about, just a little bit, maybe not so much about dentistry. You know what I mean? I want to just hear from you and tell me a little bit, whatever you'd like to share about how you came to be doing what you're doing and all the stuff you're excited about. I'll start with just asking, what's your dad meant to you? And obviously he's been a big influence. So what a guy he is, to have his daughter working with him. So that says a lot about him. That's a big credit.
Yeah. So my dad is a girl dad. He has 3 daughters. I'm the oldest one. I was always his best friend. I did everything with him growing up. I was kind of like the son he never had.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I was kind of in and out of the lab growing up in high school. He never let me work full time because he wanted me to focus on school. But I would help him out here and there. I did pickup delivery. I answered the phone for a while. Whenever he had staff on vacation, I'd fill in for them wherever it was needed. And eventually, I decided to study pre-dental. So I was at University of Washington. I got a bachelor's in public health. I did all my dental school prereqs. I even took my DAT. So applications were ready to submit. I graduated about a quarter early, and I started working with my dad while waiting for the applications to open. And I fully forgot about dental school. So they opened beginning of June. It hit end of June, beginning of July, and my dad was like, "Oh, did you submit your applications?" And I was like, "Nope, I forgot." So probably a sign that I shouldn't do that.
Well, do you still want to do that?
I don't. I'm happy with what I'm doing. I really enjoy it. And I have it in my back pocket. DAT is good for 5 years. We're 2 years in now.
Nice.
And my prereqs are good for 7 years. So if I do decide to apply, I could always do that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I didn't know that. And that is extremely unique, to have all your background combined with, a dental lab. I got to tell you, nothing like that exists. I've never heard of anything like that. So that's great. I mean, I've been with many dental labs over the years, but I've never heard anything like that. That is pretty cool. And how many sisters do you have?
I have 2 sisters, 2 younger sisters.
Okay, wow. Okay, you're the oldest?
Yes, I am the oldest.
Amazing.
I have, so I'm Joudi, and then I have Jenna and Jasmine. We're
nice.
3 J's.
Cool.
And Jenna is about 1.5 years younger than me, and then Jasmine's 6 years.
Nice. And so you went to University of Washington for 4 years or 3.5 or something like that?
Yeah, 4 years.
Okay, I gotcha. What was that like?
It's a big school. I do love it, but I also didn't like how big the classes were.
Yeah.
I had like 300 other students in my classes, so it's not very focused on the student. We're just a number to the professors, which was tough.
Yeah.
It was very competitive, especially when you're pre-dental or pre-med. Those courses are all weed-out classes. So
yeah, definitely. Like 400 people in your organic chemistry class or something like that, right?
Yep, exactly. So it was tough, but I also enjoyed it. It was a good school. I had fun while I was in it. I was also COVID, so for 2 years, so we didn't really get to spend a lot of time on campus, which was sad.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. So COVID affected your college experience, right? So like 2 years and then COVID and then about right in between?
Yeah, so COVID was my sophomore year. So sophomore and junior year was all online for me. I only got to spend part of freshman year and senior year in person.
Cool. Okay, so I'm really impressed with all of the stuff you're doing with 3D printing. So I want to talk to you about that. I'd like to hear what you have to say about, I would hate for you to say anything bad about any dental, any dental scanners. There's so much going on right now in that space. There's probably 4 leading competitors for intraoral scanners.
Yes.
And 4 competitors for facial scanners. One of the things I'm dying to ask you, is like, what's your experience been? Because like Lumina camera is brand new. Yeah. Right. And it's still in a box in my lunchroom, so we haven't opened it up yet. We're excited to use that. I don't know if it's a downside that it doesn't come with a facial scanner. I'm not sure if a facial scanner is even, if you see a facial scanner as like even necessary, in 10 years. Yeah. Or is that here to stay? Because what I'm fascinated by is that you are in and out of dental offices all the time. So who better to understand this, right? Because you're not directly investing in these $30,000, $50,000 systems, like Pick Dental, which is the, scanner that you can use your iPhone on or whatever the dentist is investing. So like, I need the advice, so I want to know from your perspective, what your experience has been and who you see as the big players right now.
Yeah. So in terms of photogrammetry, I've been doing it for 2 years now. When I started, the 2 big systems were Pick and iCam. Obviously, we have a lot more scanners on the market now, Shining 3D being one of them, Micron Mapper being one of them. And what I love to test scanners. I love to play around with everything. I want to know the workflow for every one of the scanners because I'm going to see them in all the offices I'm at, and I want to be able to help my doctors out through the workflow and understand why we need certain records. So that is why I'm always so open to trying out new things when I'm in offices. I don't have much experience with facial scanners yet because not a lot of people have invested into them. Okay. I think it's not super necessary, but I think it also really streamlines your workflow and it gives you a better result in the end. A lot of the cases I do are actually at the time of the surgery. So every minute counts. And when you're including a facial scanner into your workflow, that's just another piece of record you need and another probably 10 minutes of collecting data. So that's why we haven't really had a chance to build it into our workflow. But I definitely think 5-10 years down the line, we should, because we're working the whole photogrammetry workflow to be so efficient and quick, and we're going to have that extra time to be able to do it. And it'll save us time down the line, too, because we won't have to repeat prototypes. We'll get the design from the first time or maybe the second time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, facial scanner seems to be the way to go if you want to, like, have one prototype, maybe make small changes with the occlusion. But what I'm hearing from companies like Instarisa is the first prototype is the only one you'll need. You just almost can go straight to final because of their facial scanner. So the only experience I've had with facial scanners is Instarisa. But I can't imagine a world of not having it, except for maybe if you can get some bridge 3 photos together, right? Which would be simple to do, and so it might not be necessary, right? But maybe it'll save that one chance where, like, side view, like the teeth are at an angle that you don't want, right? So tell me a little bit about the PIC scanner, and like, is that like the leader right now? It seems like it.
So, PIC, I think, was the first photogrammetry system. They've been around since 2009. And I think the reason why they're growing is because they got the accuracy, and I don't think it was as accurate back in 2009. So the nice thing about PIC, and that is the first system we got, we've had it for about 2 years now, it's all built in one system. So your computer and your camera, it's all in your system. You just carry it around in a little suitcase.
Wow.
It's a very heavy suitcase, though. It's 40 pounds.
Wow.
So I canceled my gym membership when I started running around doing cases.
Nice.
But the nice thing about it is you can go direct to implant fixture with a PIC system, which you can't do with any other photogrammetry system on the market, as far as I know right now. And the other nice thing about it is there's no calibration. It's self-calibrating, and there's no warm-up time, which is a very big one. iCam has a 30-minute warm-up time. So for someone like me who's running around to offices, I do have to show up about half an hour early just to plug it in and warm it up.
So you have the PIC and the iCam?
I do. I have both systems now.
Okay, what are the relative costs of all these things? Because Shining 3D, and I might get these numbers completely off, and that's fine, but and these will change over time, but it's like, it seems to be the least expensive. So it has a facial scanner and the intraoral scanner. I think it's like, man, it might be like $15,000 for both of them, you know?
Yeah.
Does the PIC it's basically scan flags with the photogrammetry camera?
Yeah. So it's, like I said, it's all in one. So the computer is also built into it. It's an extraoral scanner. So that's what makes the Shining 3D different than the rest of the photogrammetry systems, is that Shining 3D is supposedly photogrammetry, but it's an intraoral scanner. Every other photogrammetry system on the market is extraoral. Of course, we have grammetry systems too,
right.
But those are not photogrammetry. Those work a little bit different. So that's where I'm interested in learning more about Shining 3D and how they're getting the data accurate, because it is an intraoral scanner. But the PIC dental system, it's all one built-in, can go direct to fixture. The iCam is the same, so it's all in one. I mean, you have your laptop and you have your scanner, so a lot more wires.
Okay.
But the scan bodies look a little bit different. They're sometimes easier to scan. Sometimes when you go so far posterior, they're actually harder to scan than the PIC bodies. We just recently bought the iCam, so it's been since January.
Okay, so why would you go to the iCam, just to feel something different, or were some doctors in the area asking for the iCam?
So the reason why we got the iCam, actually there's a couple reasons. First, PIC, I'm so happy with. It's an amazing system, but the support is really tough because they are in Spain.
Oh, okay.
Versus iCam has amazing support. I can call them right now. First ring, they'll pick up the phone.
Oh, I see. Are they a U.S. company?
I don't think so. I think they're manufactured in...
Are they German? Or?
Switzerland, somewhere
in Europe, right?
Somewhere there, but there's a lot of distributors in the U.S. and they have support in the U.S.
Their U.S. support is excellent. Huh?
Yes, it is really good. So that is the main reason why we chose to invest in the iCam. We were already looking into getting a second system just because photogrammetry is growing and we've been really busy, so my dad and I kind of divide and conquer now.
Oh, okay.
We have two systems.
So now you can go to two places at once.
Exactly.
Right.
So, and then the other thing about getting the iCam, we did have, I've done about 350 arches in the last 2 years.
Amazing.
There was one situation where the PIC, its technology decided not to work.
Oh, wow. You turned it on and it was like, nope.
Yeah, it was a day of surgery. We turned it on. It would not scan the implants. We later found out that the cable was loose in the actual system, so it was a very easy fix. But that night, we were at that office until 10:30 p.m. We ended up getting the record, but we didn't have support, and we kind of needed a backup, is what we learned that day. So that's why we also invested in the iCam.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, your guys' commitment level is off the charts. I'm really impressed with it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just having you here and the team is just I'm just really, really happy, really honored. So the iCam came second. PIC is the OG, right?
Yep, PIC is the OG system.
Got it. And then like there's some players that are trying to get in as well, right? Yeah. So I think Shining 3D is Chinese, and their sales reps are amazing. I know Troy's always been good to me, so I'm excited about learning that one. It seems like their scan flags are a lot smaller than the PIC ones, right?
Yeah, they're just different. They're horizontal scan bodies versus PIC. It looks like a little flag. It looks it's a flag with some dots on it.
It's probably designed to pick up from extraoral, right?
It is an extraoral, yeah. So, and the nice thing about PIC too is people actually complain about how big the flags are, but it makes it easier to see them when scanning. And they listen to their customers, and they came out with a mini flag so that you could place mini flags in the anterior region and bigger flags in the posterior. So it's a lot easier to scan now. Cases I've not had any issues with scanning them.
So how do you take the facial scan and transfer that to like the vertical? How do you figure out the vertical? Do you have the face in the lab, basically?
Yeah, so we use exocad to design all our full arch cases. Right. So we take that facial scan, and you have a picture where it's retracted too in the facial scan, and we use points on the tissue to align it with the tissue scan, to align it with the just separate STL that we have of the upper, lower, and bite. Okay. So that's how we're able to bring it into the face.
Okay, gotcha. So it's just it's almost like an all-in-one thing, right? I mean, you don't need anything else. You've got the PIC scanner, and you've got everything you need from that scan to the implant position and the face. You need to establish a vertical though, right? Right.
So the PIC, and just like any other photogrammetry system, gets you just your implant positioning, gets you your angulation and your distance between the implants, and then that's where you have an intraoral scanner to get your video and your tissue scans, and then you merge all of them together. And then you have your, of course, Instarisa or your facial scanner, whichever one you're using.
Got it. Okay, so you got your PIC facial scan, and then you need an intraoral scanner STL file, right? And you merge it. So the intraoral scan, is that where you like to use the scan bodies and that you showed me?
So intraoral scan, yeah, that's where there's a couple different ways to get record with your intraoral scanner. And of course, you can do this with any intraoral scanner. I've personally worked most with Trios and iTero. They seem to be, and Shining 3D is what I've recently been working with a lot. Those are all great systems, especially for day of surgery. They pick up blood very well, or bloody environments. Yeah. So what I would do for the tissue scan is I pick a library that's also built into my photogrammetry system. So whatever healing cap I use, I convert my photogrammetry STL to that same healing cap. I'll place those healing caps and I'll scan the tissue, and then I use the healing cap geometry to merge the two together. And then you have your verified model. Okay. And then that's where it gets tricky with video. If you're doing it this day of surgery and the patient has teeth, the most accurate way to do it is to place fiduciary markers, which are bone tracers. On an upper, we'd place 2 in the palate. On the lower, we recommend doing 2 in the retromolar and 1 in the anterior region. So you'd place those and then scan with those in place before you do any extractions. Go ahead and do your surgery, and then when you go to that tissue scan with your healing caps, you also have those fiduciaries in place, and you just merge those 2 together.
It's kind of like breadcrumbs, that's how you find your way back, right?
Right, exactly. Because when you do surgery, your tissue gets so inflamed, you've flapped, you lose your markers. Nothing looks the same.
Right, it's the one thing that stays the same.
Yes, exactly.
Good. And so I'm thinking maybe just the Lumina scanner and then the PIC scanner would be a combo that would be all you would need.
Yeah, any photogrammetry scanner and an intraoral scanner. And that's the cool thing about Shining 3D is it's all one.
Yeah. Or something like that, right? Yeah. And I'm just curious if the price will come down and if more dentists will be able to
Yeah.
to be getting involved in this.
So the price is already coming down. I know that. When we bought our PIC system, we paid $57,000 for it. Now I believe it's somewhere around $40,000 because it is pretty competitive with iCam, which is $40,000. I know that Micron Mapper and Shining 3D are both less than that. So it's a competitive market right now for those companies.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be, even more so. And, I'm fascinated with how it's, what's going to be, the leading system in the next 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah, me too. I like to just play around with all of them since we have so many in our offices. I like to just scan with all of them and then compare the data and see which ones. It's hard to measure passivity and accuracy. So I haven't figured out the best way to do that. I compare them to each other, but how do you know which one's most accurate? That's where I'm having difficulty comparing it.
Right. I mean, one simple way to do it is basically do split testing, right? You'd have to do 2 frameworks twice,
right.
2 of them, and try them. One of the things that is going to be really appealing to the general dentist is the software, and I think that the hardware seems to be already there. Lumina 6 cameras. There's a lot. Intraoral scanners are becoming faster, and that's not the limiting factor anymore. They're all becoming so good. Now it's kind of there's going to be a fight for which one has the smoothest software, and which cloud is going to be easier to operate, stuff like that.
Definitely, yeah. And the fun part about intraoral scanning too, especially when you're learning on so many systems, is each scanner has its own strategy and scan protocol, and you have to learn every single protocol.
You're right.
Because if you don't follow it, you might end up with an STL that gives you the information you need, but how accurate is it actually?
And you won't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll never know. The scan path, right?
Right.
That's recommended.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember learning about, scan path when we were scanning for ortho, and in CEREC. That was really important.
It is.
And then, did you see any differences with the Shining 3D today?
With the scan path?
Yeah.
I did not. It's from what I understood, it's pretty occlusal lingual buccal, just like most scanners. I would have to look into it. It varies if you're doing an edentulous scan versus just like a study model scan. And that's true for every scanner. The scan path is going to be different.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to play with it much in different, because we just had that one patient. So.
Yeah, I even had my brand new assistant. She's wonderful, and she was able to do it pretty well.
Oh, she did an amazing job.
Yeah, and with Troy there, able to cut tissue when necessary was super great. So this is a really exciting chapter in my life. I'm really happy that you came.
Thank you for letting me be a part of it.
You're welcome. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
We should do it.
Yeah. This is great. And then, there's so much more I could talk to you about, but I want to respect your time. So let's call it here. Thank you so much. I want to meet your dad.
Yeah.
With, all his knowledge, it sounds like he's a wonderful guy, and what a character to have his daughter. I'm sure you think so highly of him. So
yeah, of course. He's my teacher. He teaches me everything I know. He's the best teacher and best friend.
Excellent. Well, that's it for now. Thanks a lot. And
Thank you.
I appreciate you joining me. Thank you for listening to the last conversation with Joudi Alshammaa. I'd like to leave you with a quote that I've been thinking about recently from Maya Angelou. Do your best until you know better, and when you know better, do better. I'll catch you at the next episode.